Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Smart Claim webcast. This is a complimentary webcast meant to answer questions you might have for property damage. We offer 24/7 emergency service for any claim situation, unlimited communication, any way you like it, email, text, phone, video, FaceTime. We have a free policy review and a property inspection anytime you request it. Our goal is to prevent the risk of a claim denial. All right, tonight's an interesting but simple topic. What makes your homeowner's policy so important? Well, mostly it is usually the single largest investment a homeowner has. Often this is protected by a homeowner policy that is paid through your mortgage, and you don't think a lot about it because you say, oh, I pay it through my mortgage. When in fact, it should be a very thought about process and a thought about policy to make sure you have the correct one. Remember this, in today's society, it's not uncommon to have, in excess of $500,000 tied up in your home. It's your mansion. So forget about, what other people have and what other policies have. This is your particular investment in your home. So whatever condition or value it is, you have to remember that this policy is meant to protect what you have. So unlike automobile insurance, when you buy it, generally the person that you hit is who has to deal with your auto policy. In the homeowner's world, the payment or the payee that ends up happening from damage to your property is yourself. So it makes all the sense in the world to protect your property so that you ultimately get reimbursed, we'll call it happily, in a manner that matches your expectation for the damages. When I said it pays you, it's not about if damage occurs to your property, that it gets fixed. Insurance policies have no real method of doing repairs. There is some crazy language in there in some certain weird situations, but it really doesn't happen. So if you have a policy and the deductible is too high, the less money you get paid. If you have a policy that depreciates your roof based on its age, and you have a claim to your home with an older roof, you get less money. If you have a policy that takes out depreciation instead of pays you the replacement costs up front, you get less money. So ultimately, all of the decisions made on purchasing the policy and what policy to get should be based on how much money the policy pays you in the event of those situations. You should always be asking, how does my policy pay me in the event of a claim? How does my policy pay me for roof damages because it's one of the more substantial claims? How does my policy pay me if I don't do the repairs? Or how would my policy pay me if it burnt to the ground? There are very interesting answers to all of those questions, and each one of those questions could take almost an hour to answer. But if you're sitting with your broker, your question should be, how does my policy pay me in this situation? Now be careful, because often the answers are what we call canned answers, and they're not specific. So you need to rephrase that question, ask it back again. So if I have damage to my roof and it costs $10,000 to repair, does this windstorm deductible kick in? Because if that's the case, you might get a small payment. Or I have $10,000 worth of damage to my roof. What does this roof payment schedule mean? Ultimately, if you understand how your policy pays you, you can purchase the one that you want to have happen, meaning find one that pays you where you're comfortable with how it pays in the event of damage. It does protect you. There was a study not too long ago, I don't have the figure exactly, but a dog bite was one of the most frequent claims against homeowners on their homeowner policies. And I believe it was in New York. They were over $40,000 a piece, and they were considerably less in the Midwest. I'm guessing, depending on how litigious the society was where the incident occurred. But oftentimes, if you have a dog that does bite somebody, the insurance company may actually not cover you unless that animal is euthanized. So it does protect you from a really large bill if your animal does inadvertently hurt even another animal. But if it hurts a person, you're lucky you have that insurance, because it can be quite expensive to cover the cost of these claims. They're not easy. They're emotional. I know people that have had it happen, and your dog, generally never bites anybody. It was an unusual situation. They were provoked, you name it. But ultimately, if somebody gets hurt, they're going to be coming after you. And you want to make sure you have a very good policy in that situation. So you want to make sure that, if an unforeseen incident occurs from this, obviously a very, lovely animal, when it does happen, or if it happens, you want to make sure that you're protected. And that again means to have a policy that protects you and your interests very, very well. Ultimately, you don't want to have any surprises happen. So if I understand what's going to happen in the event of a loss, how my policy handles it, everything's great. So if I have a high wind event and it blows my house apart, how will my policy handle it? If we get heavy rains and completely saturates my house, coming in through the windows, coming in through the basement, do I have sump pump coverage? I don't know. But I do know that I would like to find out, if my basement flooded from heavy rain, does my homeowner insurance policy cover me? Do I need an endorsement for that? Most likely you do. Out west, wildfires are the big thing. We see it in the news. How does my house handle smoke from wildfires? There's policies that I've seen out west that limit the amount of damage to smoke in your home from wildfires to $5,000. You've got to be kidding me. Smoke from a wildfire could be $50,000, $100,000. Once the house catches fire, it is covered under the fire peril, but you also have to be careful with specific deductibles for wildfires. Any other accidents that might occur in the home, you're having a party and someone falls through a door or a window and cracks something or breaks something, how does my policy pay me? And again, some of the larger losses in a home are plumbing related. Certainly, if you have damage or plumbing damage to a drain line that needs to be accessed. So if you have to dig up your house to get to the repair, excuse me, how does your policy pay for that damage? The answer to that is really different. There's some policies out there today that are very restrictive as far as access goes. State Farm's new policy is extremely restrictive compared to traditional policies. But I'd like to know, and I'd like you to ask your agent, how your policy would respond to these specific incidents. Hopefully that helps you. And when you have a claim, don't be surprised. Know up front what's going to happen. This is Bill the Adjuster with Metro Public Adjustment. If you like what you heard, you can share us on any of your social media platforms. We'd be glad to take the social media credit for it. Again, thank you for attending. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact your Metro claim rep that invited you on the call. You can also email us directly at smartclaim@metropa.com.